All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ryan Suter. I'm one of the senior investment managers here at Sharewise, and we're here this morning with Pete Maloney. Now, Pete is a managing director and CEO of AUCyber. He's been kind enough this morning to lend us his time and expertise regarding the company. So, as always, Pete's going to start us off with a presentation, introducing the company, giving us an update on how it's tracking, and then we will shift it to Q&A. Now, I've got a couple of questions for the Q&A just to kick us off with, but ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions you'd like me to ask Pete, please submit throughout the presentation using the Q&A function, and then we'll ask them at the end. Pete, good morning, mate, and thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, Ryan, and good morning to all the people that are joining us online this morning. And thank you to Sharewise for giving AUCyber the opportunity to present this morning. Short disclaimer there. I'll let you read that very quickly, and you all read it, so that's excellent. So I'd like to introduce you to AUCyber. Ticker code is CYB. We've recently changed the name of the company from Sovereign Cloud Holdings Limited, ticker code SOV, to AUCyber, principally to better reflect what we're trying to achieve as an organisation, which is around building a cybersecurity firm at scale with a national footprint. This morning, I'll go through our vision and our strategy, kind of talk about the cybersecurity landscape, which I think is really important in the context of the market that we operate in, talk about the business today. We've recently completed 3 acquisitions just before the end of last financial year, and move into Q&A. I think just to sort of set the scenes, what we're looking to achieve at AUCyber is to become Australia's preferred partner for both government and enterprise organisations when it comes to 3 areas. The first is cybersecurity, the second is managed services, and the third is cloud infrastructure hosting. But to set the scene for everyone, why is this important? There is no bigger issue in Australian boardrooms today than how does a firm protect itself from the risk of a cybersecurity threat. And in Australia, this country is the 4th most attacked in the world. And when we kind of think about why does it matter, when an organisation has a cybersecurity breach, it has a significant potential to damage that firm's brand and reputation. It has the potential to affect their customers, be that business-to-business customers or be that business-to-consumer customers. And a firm largely risks having a breach of their intellectual property. And when we think about intellectual property, it's not just data. When you kind of think around what we hear day to day on the news in respect to a data breach, we also counsel organisations to think about their intellectual property in the forms of everything that they hold on their network, beyond usernames and passwords, right through to the intellectual property or the trade secrets that might be held in things like Word documents or PowerPoint presentations. And we've certainly seen in this country large-scale significant data breaches, which is really centred on a firm's intellectual property. When we think about cybersecurity in Australia, it is an area that is growing year on year, and every year the growth in cybersecurity breaches climbs. We see cybercrime up 23% this year on last year. The cost to the economy is over $3 billion. And the reasons for cybersecurity breaches are really simple. The number one cause of a cybersecurity breach in Australia is still as simple as a business email compromise, where an organisation may not have the right phishing tools in place. Employees click on emails. Those emails, once clicked on, are injecting malware onto a firm's network, and that creates the path of entry for a cybersecurity criminal. And then the other area which is really in the news today, and we see so much of it, is online banking fraud. And right now, in the lead up to Christmas, this is really an area of heightened awareness as consumers start to think about retail sales, offers, online promotions, and really having to validate who they're dealing with so as not to be a victim of that sort of crime. If you're kind of thinking around this in terms of a context, if you were to attend a standard 2-day conference, during that 2 days, there would be 480 Australian businesses that would suffer a cybersecurity breach, and that would cost the economy $26 million. In terms of why this is happening and why is it so important to Australia, we kind of look at the causal reasons first. And the number one reason why Australia is so attractive to cyber criminals is our wealth as a nation. The only thing a cyber criminal wants is cash. And so when you think about where a cyber criminal is going to launch their attacks, they go to the wealthy nations. And so you kind of think around North America, you think around Australia and some of the European countries. They have no interest in the low net worth countries or where the average wage per person is low around the world. So Australia is very attractive because of our high net worth. We're also a very, very attractive country for cyber criminals because we are a heavily digitally connected economy. And that's right through to devices that we have in our homes, right through to our workplace. But we really are a country that has embraced the Internet of Things. And so when you think high net worth, devices that are connected to the internet, and those devices, or every device that is connected to the internet, is subject to or may be subject to a cybersecurity breach because that's the path of entry. Those two ingredients make it highly attractive for cyber criminals. And when you kind of think about cybercrime, this is truly a game of whack-a-mole. Whatever we do as firms and organisations to review and uplift our cybersecurity posture, the cyber criminals are trying to work one step in advance of us. And so cybercrime is not a set and forget. It's not an environment where an organisation or a firm reflects on, updates their cybersecurity posture, and then lets it rest. This is a model where there needs to be continuous eyes on the cybersecurity posture for a firm, and it constantly needs to be revised and it constantly needs to be uplifted. The market that we operate in, and we kind of like the market dynamics that we operate in, and we operate in two markets. The first market is cloud infrastructure, and the second market is cybersecurity. In the cybersecurity market in Australia, it's a highly fragmented market. There are over 350 participants, and that means that there is really a rich opportunity for all the firms that are operating in that sector to operate effectively, but it also creates an opportunity for mergers and acquisitions in that sector. And that's really what we've been doing over the course of the last 6 months in building this business up to be of scale. We like the fact in the cloud market that it's a fast and it's growing market. And we like the fact that in all organisations around Australia, where they may still have their infrastructure on premises, they're all going through a process of reviewing should they remain on premise or should they move their business to the cloud, and kind of think about how that cloud operating model works in the context of cybersecurity, and the two sit nicely together. It's not a model that says, I'll lift and shift my business to the cloud and the cloud will take care of cybersecurity. In fact, it's quite different. It's I lift and I shift my business to the cloud, and I need to make sure that I've got the right cybersecurity tools wrapped around my business to make sure that it's safe and protected. If I hone in now specifically on AUCyber, as I mentioned before, our vision is to become Australia's preferred partner to both government and enterprise in 3 areas: cybersecurity, managed IT services with cloud infrastructure. And how we've been going about doing that is through the process of acquisitions and then integrating those acquisitions, leveraging those acquisitions to focus on organic customer growth, focused on building our network of partnerships, and always looking to build and expand our capabilities so as to expand the offerings that we've got available to customers. The 2 categories that we operate in, we have one part of the business which is commonly referred to as AUCloud, and that is a true cloud infrastructure business. But what makes this business unique is it is a sovereign cloud infrastructure organisation. And what that means is that the infrastructure that we house is certified by the federal government to house information up to the protected level. It is part of the national security framework, if you like, and with those certifications, it also has all the people that work on that infrastructure on behalf of our customers security cleared by the Australian Signals Directorate, so that the customers know that when they engage with AUCloud, they know that the infrastructure is Australian owned, it's on Australian shores, it's not subject to foreign laws, and it's certified by the federal government, and it's hands on the tin, if you like, by credentialed individuals. The other part of our business is AUCyber, and that's our cybersecurity professional services business. And we really do 3 things here. The first, and probably the most important thing we do, is around helping organisations review their existing cybersecurity strategy. We help organisations kind of think about what the optimum cybersecurity strategy is, and then we build, once an organisation identifies what the gaps are, we help an organisation implement a higher level of cybersecurity. We also run a security operations centre, and this is where organisations are trusting us to be their eyes and ears on their own networks. So kind of think we run a operations centre that is monitoring the network traffic, the internet traffic, the email traffic, really all the traffic that passes through an organisation's network. We're watching that traffic to identify potential threats, and we're closing those threats down before they become real or actionable threats within a customer's network or environment. And then the other part of our cybersecurity business is really running professional services, and that's where we go on site to customers. We work as part of their business, and we're really part of their cybersecurity team on a day-to-day basis. Those that have followed AUCyber will know that in April this year, we completed 3 acquisitions, and those acquisitions were really targeted to increase the depth and breadth of product offering that we have, to increase our geographic footprint, increase the volume of customers that we've got, and then building all those 3 together to start to think about how do we build a national firm at scale with a focus on cybersecurity. And so the 3 acquisitions were really tightly coupled around that. One of them was called PCG Cyber, a Canberra-based business focused on cybersecurity professional services. And we really liked that acquisition because that really helped us build, or if you like, establish a footprint and the groundwork to build out a national footprint for cybersecurity. The other 2 businesses, Then IT and Arado, we really liked them because their cloud infrastructure that they owned and operated, we liked the fact we could synergize that, migrate their customers onto our existing cloud infrastructure and optimize the AUCloud utilization rate. And so if we wind forward and kind of think around AUCloud today, it's a business that's got just over 240 customers. We do like and we do focus on annual recurring revenue. So we like our customers to sign up to 2, 3 and 1 year contracts. And our ARR today sits at around about $22 million. The average spend per customer is about $107,000, and the team across the country is now grown to just over 100 people. In terms of the ownership of the business, our major shareholder, and we're very fortunate to have Australia's largest digital infrastructure asset owner, NextDC. NextDC have been a cornerstone investor now for a number of years, and NextDC hold 32% of the business. Insiders, so management and the board, hold 31% of the business. Institutional shareholders hold 30% of the business, and the retail book holds the rest at about 7% of the organisation. And just some of our key numbers for everyone to kind of think about. So I mentioned our ARRs at 22 million. Our total contract value sits at 25 million, and that's our really primary focus today, which is organically growing the business. Now that we've brought these 3 companies together with AUCloud, is to focus on organic revenue growth. Post the cap raise, cash balance was sitting at 8.4 million. We've completed the 3 acquisitions, and I'll talk a bit more about our progress to date on that. But post the acquisitions, up to the end of the last financial year, we'd quickly realised about $9 million in annualised savings through capturing synergies. And I think we've laid the footing, if you like, for, at the end of last year, we laid the footing for FY25 and growing the business in FY25. One of the things we also were focused on doing was building our base outside of Canberra, which was the original base for Sovereign Cloud Holdings, and really morph or to move into the enterprise market. And we're quite pleased today that, you know, where we were 18 months ago, we've probably near on 90% of our revenue attached to federal government work. We've now reduced that to 50%. While still growing our Canberra footprint, but we've now got 50% of our revenue sourced from the enterprise market. And that's important in cybersecurity because the enterprise market tends to make decisions in the sales cycle far quicker than what federal government does. The other thing we really value is our partner ecosystem, and we value the fact that we work with some of the largest brands in the world, either to assist their own go-to-market or to help our own capabilities for our own customers. In terms of the focus for the business right now, in terms of the key strategic initiatives, the first and the most important one is to complete the integration of the acquisitions. And I'm really pleased to say that, you know, as we look where we are right now, that integration activity is all but complete. We only have one project left to do, which is around data center consolidation, and we expect that to be finished by the end of the 3rd quarter this financial year. Otherwise, we've really done what we've said we were going to do, which is post-acquisitions, synergize the organisations, bring them under one banner and get them operating under a single operating model. We're now very, very much focused on organic customer growth and building the skills and capabilities of our sales organisation to capture the vast market opportunity that sits out there for both cloud, infrastructure and cybersecurity. Continuing to focus on partnerships and expanding our offerings. And also for this business, you know, probably the most critical thing that we can do is continue to focus that this financial year, the business becomes cash flow positive and profitable in its own right. So that as we walk into FY26, we'll have laid the foundation through the acquisitions, we'll have got the business operating profitably and cash flow positive and really laying the foundations for FY26. And I'll pause there, Ryan, and happy to take questions and queries.
Thank you very much, Pete. Really appreciate the informative presentation. Look, I'll kick things off with a couple of questions of my own. Now, obviously, with AUCyber, how do you guys realistically differentiate yourself from other cybersecurity and cloud service providers in the Australian market? And realistically, when it comes to a unique value proposition you're presenting to your clients, where does it come from?
So there's a couple of parts to that question. The first is around cloud infrastructure. So if you kind of think the majority of cloud in Australia is on the public cloud. So kind of think AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. That kind of caters for about 80% of the cloud market in Australia. We're not in that category. We're not a public cloud operator. We're a sovereign cloud operator. And that means for firms that need to keep either their primary or their backup data resident on the shores of Australia, in an environment where it's not subject to foreign laws. So if you kind of think in the public cloud market, data really is traversing all around the world, and US federal legislation really plays a key role in terms of what the public cloud operators can do. In a sovereign cloud environment, it's Australian owned, it's on Australian shores, it's not subject to foreign laws, it's certified by the federal government to house information up to what's known as the protected level. And so that's really sensitive information. And so when you play that forward and you think about firms that want to make sure that their data is onshore, it's housed in a secure environment, it's got the right personnel looking after their data, that's really where sovereign cloud capabilities come into play. If we follow what's going on in Canberra right now, there are a number of legislative reviews and a number of acts of parliament that are working their way through the system, and many of those are focused on Australia's digital sovereign footprint. How does Australia protect itself and its data to remain onshore and not subject to foreign laws? And that really is a space that AUCloud fits in. The second part of the answer in terms of uniqueness is really around our business model. And we like the business model that we've now built out, particularly through the acquisitions where, we've got cloud infrastructure wrapped around with managed services, wrapped around with cybersecurity. And when we think about a firm's buying behaviour, firms need all three. They can enter at one place, they can move upstream and downstream as they move through the offerings that we have here.
Well, thank you very much for that answer, Pete. Completely answered my question. Now, just moving on, obviously you discussed expanding your client base through organic means, both domestically and internationally. Are there any specific industries or sectors you're focusing on for this future growth?
Yeah, there are, without any doubt. And so firstly, just we're only focused on Australia and we're not looking on offshore markets. But when we think about cybersecurity, we really look for three things. Firstly, knowing that the only thing a cyber criminal wants is cash. So we think about our target market. It's those firms that are holding or transferring large volumes of cash. So kind of think around the financial institutions. Think about things like law firms, where in trust accounts for law firms, there are trillions of dollars going through those trust accounts every year. Kind of think around the property sector, where again, there is trillions of dollars or billions of dollars in the property sector going through those accounts every single year. That is really attractive to cyber criminals. So we look for verticals that are that have got a high volume of cash throughput. We look for sectors that are highly fragmented. So there's a lot of market participants in that category. And we look for categories that typically have a low level of IT sophistication. So one example, is that we've recently, or late last year, we partnered up with Australia's leading legal industry body, the peak body for law firms in Australia, as their cybersecurity partner. Right in the sweet spot for us, a lot of money passing through law firms, a lot of market participants, and typically low IT sophistication, which means that we can really answer those needs, for those firms.
Well, thank you for exploring those growth goals. Now, just to shift here a little bit, obviously, cybersecurity is something that's constantly changing with emerging technologies and differentiating trends. Now, how is AUCyber planning on staying ahead of these technologies and these trends? And are there any specific areas of innovation that you're investing in?
Yeah, look, there always are. So in the first instance, we're not a software vendor. We use software as part of our means of delivering services to customers. So we're a large consumer of cybersecurity software. And when you kind of think around what you're consuming, you've really got to consume two things. One, which is what is best practice, and secondly, what can scale. Because importantly, in our businesses, how much operating leverage can we get? So if you kind of think around cloud infrastructure, our business has, deployed around about $25 million in building the cloud infrastructure. Every customer we take on, we don't need any more employees. It's got a really high scalability to it. And there's huge operating leverage sitting inside that. It's the same on cybersecurity. When you run a security operations center, you want to be able to scale up to that, scale with that as you take on more customers. And technology plays a really, really key role in that. Technology in cybersecurity has a key role in terms of the volume you can take in, how smart the tools are that you're using to identify cybersecurity threats to get the best outcome for the customer. And one clear example of that is that, on one hand, the cybersecurity criminals are using artificial intelligence to better mimic personas to get a strike through to a firm. And on our side, we're doing the same. We're using artificial intelligence tools, to better predict when a cyber crime is about to occur.
Well, thank you for that one, Pete. Now, I've just got one more to finish off for the day. How is AUCyber... Oh, actually, no, sorry about that one. Now, given the threat of evolving landscapes, especially in cybersecurity, what are the most pressing cybersecurity challenges facing Australian businesses and government organisations today?
Look, it's a great question. And like I opened up, I don't truly believe there's any bigger issue in Australian boardrooms today. Every CEO and CIO I talk to is being asked a question around their firm's cybersecurity posture by the board. And the great challenge is that boards or government agencies need to have trust and faith and confidence in their own management teams that they are protecting that firm's cybersecurity posture. But there is the obligation from boards to cascade that down, encourage reporting up, so that the board can get a really clear indication of what a firm's cybersecurity posture is. Kind of think around the really, really common and easy forms of breaches. It's around business email compromise, it's password stuffing, it's phishing compromises. These are really simple things that go on day to day, but for the cyber criminals, they do it in the mass market, right? They kind of email out millions and millions at a time, knowing that even at a 0.1% strike rate, there's enough cash there for them to get. You don't need many people to click on a suspicious email to get through to a network and then start to infiltrate that network. For boards, the biggest issue, though, is what to do in the event of a cybersecurity attack. And we will often talk quite publicly that we believe many boards are ill prepared. Many boards are not not engaging people like AUCyber to help them conduct what's known as tabletop exercises. And so what they're not doing is they're not simulating how the firm would react if they were subject to a cybersecurity attack. And I think that's really important. Every organisation in Australia needs to kind of think around how do they protect themselves, how do they detect cybercrime, and really importantly, how do you respond? Because there's one thing certain in life. when an organisation is subject to a cybersecurity attack, there is often a lack of clarity. There is a desire to make the problem go away as quickly as possible, and that can lead to very, very hasty or ill-considered decisions. And that's really where AUCyber comes in, both helping the firm think about their cybersecurity strategy, but really importantly, helping firms think about how to respond. Are they really well rehearsed? Do they know who to go to? How they're going to respond to the media? What are their public statements going to be? And most importantly, who's in charge when a cybersecurity attack occurs?
Well, Pete, thank you for that exploration. That about wraps everything up for us this morning. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with?
No, that's great. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk to ShareWise and your customers there. Please continue to follow the AUCyber story. It's an exciting story. We've really repositioned the company, very, very well over the course of this financial year, and we really look forward to a successful end of 25 and on to 26.
Brilliant stuff. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time again this morning, Pete, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.
Awesome. Thank you.